Hello all, this is your instructor, Dr. Boney. Easy way to figure out how to pronounce my name. For MAS 7801 Practicum and Pedagogical Approaches in the four main subject areas: science, mathematics, English, and social studies. Um, so just a couple things about me before we move into the course. I've been teaching for 29 years. I did several years in high school in Delaware. I did some teaching of middle school in summers. I taught at Red Clay School District, Brandywine School District, Cape Henlopen School District, and I've been teaching probably for the past 10 or 12 years in the University of Delaware as an adjunct instructor, and also Delaware Tech in the sciences. So I've also taught some math as well. Um, so I also had a hand in helping the state with some of the assessments they've done throughout the years, including the science kits, the science high school curriculum, 10th grade, DCAS, etc. So I am very well versed on pedagogy. I have a bachelor's in biology. I have a master's in bioethics. I have an EDD in secondary science curriculum instruction, and I have a PhD in medical molecular sciences, all from the University of Delaware. Go Hens. Sorry, it's just something we have to say at UD. I my job here is to give you all a little bit of a deeper kind of self, reflection on pedagogy. I'm a huge fan of pedagogy, and I want to help to develop your pedagogical skills regardless of your content area. So let's just kind of get right into it. So let's kind of go through the framework of the course, and then kind of tell you how it's going to operate, and then go through kind of the first week. So obviously you come here, you're going to take a look at the syllabus, and we'll just choose a random one because some of you may be math, ELA, social studies, or science. Doesn't matter to me. We'll just grab math. Most of the aspects of this are the same regardless of your area. So this is the contact information for me, obviously online, so feel free to give me a ring if you want to meet via Zoom or something like that, or if you have any questions, that's totally fine. I'm not going to go through all of these. You can do all this stuff yourself, but this will tell you kind of like exactly what you're learning. These are, of course, the learning expectations, which is nice, how you're assessed, and kind of down the line. And so you can see here that each major learning outcome has a series of assessments. That makes a lot of sense, of course. And as we get down here, we have more of an outline of the major essential questions you're going to be using in this class for each particular week. And then this part is really good for you. It is an outline of exactly what the points are for each of the actual activities that you do in this particular class. So I'm filling in this semester for this is a brand new class, so I'm teaching it first semester. For a good friend of mine, Dr. Michael Curry, that designed this course. So I have to give him credit. This is his baby, and I'm helping to drive it. So in a nice way, he got to do all the work, and I get to have all the fun with you guys. So this is kind of awesome. So this is a good list of exactly kind of what is due in terms of the the assessments for points, and kind of like what those are. And you can kind of get down the line and see the rest of it. And so there's a lot of sources that are great for you here. So kind of once we have that, and there's a couple different ways you can go about working through the course. I mean, you can read all the course orientation modules. Obviously, you're seeing this video. You can hit start here to begin the course. This is going to be some of the pre-stuff. I'm not going to go through all these. You can find all these yourself. I'm sure with being a master's course, you've probably already are fairly familiar with some of these things. So I will get into the overview of the curriculum project later, but you can start that now. So, however you want to do that's fine. So a couple different things we can do in terms of assignments, and I'm just going to start here for a little bit. So the assignments, you can see the due dates are there weekly for each week. What I did do though is I've opened up 2 weeks at a time. So for right now, like if we actually go to the modules, and this is how I would suggest running the course is going through the modules. You'll see that you can access weeks 1 and 2 right now. And that, even though I'm going ahead, first of all, it's a 7-week course. It moves pretty fast. I'm sure with it being the summer, you guys have vacations and kids are home. You probably have a lot going on. And maybe you have a lot of time this week 1 to work on stuff, but you don't next week. So I'm giving you the opportunity to do that. And then what'll happen is I'm going to open up weeks 3 and 4. July 20th, they'll both open up all the way, which is great. And then what I'll do is I'll open up the whole rest of the course on July 27th, which is well ahead of when things are due for each week. So it gives you flexibility to get the work done in a way that, in case your schedule is really crazy, that'll help. So first thing you do once you do all of the other stuff, you always want to kind of read the intro to any kind of thing we're doing. And this is where we're going to talk about really what pedagogy is, analyze some pedagogy, reflect on some good teachers you may have had, and ways that we can try to differentiate some instruction to meet the needs of students, which is, again, one of the hardest things in the world to do. But again, the more tools we have in the toolbox, the better off we are. So the first thing I would say any given week is hit on the resources, and you may not go all of these now, but you're going to use some of these throughout the particular week. And so these are all in reference. So after you see what you have for your resources. Now, what I did here is I actually went back to my view because it is July 5th and your view is not open to see week 1 stuff. So your screen will look like mine, though, in a couple days. So the first thing you're going to do is a class introduction. I'm obviously doing one now, so I'm going to answer some of these for you. And again, you can use a webcam or a screencast. But my name, Michael Boney. My major, I already went over those. In terms of your program, where'd you get started? Well, for me, I went to college for football and to have a good time. And I didn't spend a lot of time studying. I wish I did, and I barely squeaked by. And then I ended up getting a job at a school for pregnant teenagers in Delaware called DAPI, and I truly fell in love with teaching. And from that point, I finally focused and found out that I loved learning. And I really wish I had started it earlier. But that was part of my story. Am I working in a school? Yes, I am. I work as an adjunct for University of Delaware. I worked as an adjunct for Delaware Tech. I work full-time Delaware Tech, adjunct University of Delaware, and adjunct WilmU. And I've been involved in public education for many, many years. I also teach a science pedagogy class for Delaware Tech as well for upcoming teachers who are going to be science teachers for Praxis. And so I've had a lot of fun doing that. And let's see, any other information, hobbies. I love to smoke meat. I love to golf, and I actually brew beer. I've been brewing beer for about 20 years. And so those are some of my hobbies that I have. So once you go ahead and do that, then we basically have a case study analysis. This is where I want to kind of get a sense of you and kind of what some of your ideas are about students with diverse needs. This is a scenario about Destiny, who's a 7th grader at Booker T. Washington. And as you read this case study, you're going to see that Destiny has a love for science, but for whatever reason doesn't seem to be able to get some of her homework done. And then as the case study goes through, you will find that a colleague tells this teacher why that might be. And so I'm interested in your thinking on this. So once you go ahead and complete that, and again, your view will look a little different than mine because you'll have a place to upload it. This is all week 1. So then I want, again, more about you. I want to have a little synopsis of a teacher who had a positive effect on you, and be specific, like what made them that way. And I can tell you right now, my idea of pedagogy has changed a lot. I was always kind of taught when I started pedagogy that lecture is bad. But the funny thing is when I think back to like one of the teachers I had, Mrs. Wilcox, she was amazing, and she lectured. She just had this way of doing it. So, obviously, I don't think there is a really bad way to present the material, as long as you have evidence that the material is getting to the students and is in a way that addresses kind of uh, all or as many as their possible learning needs as you can. Again, you're not going to get them all, and that's just, I mean, that's unrealistic to think that. But you're here to add a couple more tools to your toolbox that can help you. And most of my work in this course for you is not going to be writing things like "great job." I mean, yes, I'll write if you really did a great job. I'm going to tell you. Um, but it's more so going to be why it was one. And I'm going to try to be hypercritical in a manner that doesn't necessarily hurt your point values. If you didn't complete the assignments because you didn't follow the rubric, then I'm going to take points off. But I'm going to challenge you a lot with some questions, or, well, have you thought about this? Like, that's really I think the way that, for teaching so long and having as much experience with pedagogy, that I think that's the way I could help you out the most. So, let me know who you are. Let me know what these experiences meant to you, and what this person was. You can make up their name if you don't want to use a real name. It's fine with me. Then we go on from there to the curriculum planning. So now we're starting the project. And this project is going to be a project that's almost a reverse concentric project. You're starting off planning an entire academic year. And you're going, what? Week one, we're going to plan a whole year? Yes, you are. But relax. You're not going to plan every single lesson of every single unit. You're just going to get the major outline. And then as this particular academic outline, then you're going to choose a unit in a couple weeks, and then from the unit you're going to choose and write 5 lesson plans for that unit. And so that's kind of how we're going to do it. And you definitely want to take a read on a couple things. Obviously, the first one is UBD. I actually was a national trainer for Understanding by Design for several years in the early 2000s, so I know this like the back of my hand, and I still use a lot of this stuff today. If some of you work for schools, you probably also know UBD. You probably have essential questions all over the place, but it's way deeper than that. So what you're going to do is I want you to go ahead and write an actual year-long curriculum guide plan. And by the way, if you're already a teacher, you might as well be doing this course in reference to a class that you have to teach. If you don't have a job yet, or that's not your role, then feel free to use this particular scenario right here of the Mars Area School District to be your kind of backdrop for this whole project. So what's the curriculum document that you need to fill out look like? It looks like this. It's as an editable version, so for you have it. You have your Common Core standards, NGSs for all 4 different areas. And this is what you're going to actually write on. Now let me show you what it looks like when it's completed. So Dr. Curry was nice enough to fill one out to give you guys a sense of the breadth and depth of what these are. Now obviously this is an English class, so he used the Common Core English standards, and they're outlined here. And so this is a really good way for you to kind of organize that. And I am going to be very clear and simple in the way that I analyze this. Do your standards align with what your objective is for each of the units? Straight up. That's what I'm going to look for. Do they make sense together? Because if this doesn't make sense, then you're going to have troubles down the road. So that entails your first degree of work that you're going to be doing, because I think then we have week 2. Yes, so we don't need to do that one yet. So am I going to every week have a video like this, 10 to 15 minutes going over? No, I'm not. You guys are adults. You can figure it out. I'm going to be in touch a lot via email and feedback from exams, or feedback from assignments and whatnot. I will be posting announcements, but my job is to kind of make sure that you kind of stay on track. If I notice that some work's not getting done, I'll be like, hey, what's going on? But I understand you are busy people like I am. And I wanted to just give you a first kind of video to get you clear on exactly what you're supposed to do, what my role is, how I feel about pedagogy, and just be a conduit to help you to gain and develop your skills in pedagogy. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and good luck.